Men of Reddit, what do women do that they think is okay but is actually creepy? Used to work for in an office full of women. There were 2 other men, but I was the only fit young guy, 30. They'd routinely comment about my physique. Gawking. Touching. Many of them married and / or church-going type. Women can be just as creepy as men. Oh yes. That's something I like to call workplace harassment. Honestly, hands down, women who exploit emotions of men. We may not all cry in the movie theater, but we are not incapable of experiencing deep painful emotional wounds. In general, it seems to be more acceptable for women to rag on guys for our image, like our height, weight, or income. While the flip side being that men cannot criticize women without being a pig. So yeah, women who nitpick guys for superficial reasons are creepy, arrogant, and covered with more red flags than a game of Minesweeper. Wife bragged to friends about our sex life. We live in a small town and now it feels like everywhere I go, I'm being giggled and smiled at. It's really violating. Time to tell your wife it's not okay. I'd be mortified. I had a girlfriend who would do that. I told her to stop, but she said it was all good things. I had her friends asking for more details and if I could give their boyfriends tips. I asked my girlfriend if she'd like it if I discussed with my friends about how her vulva looked, felt, and tasted. She said that was different and gross. Yeah, no. Gotta love those double standards. Not exclusively a woman thing, but my ex would screenshot our text conversations and send them to her family and friends for reaction. Like mundane conversations, not even anything interesting. It felt like a very creepy violation of my privacy. Also, she was an idiot. Hope you see this, Laura. Haha, this sounds like one of my exes who was also named Laura. Home. Edit, thanks for all the support everyone. Remember folks, there are plenty of Lauras in the sea. My friend does this with our conversations and her boyfriends. I've mentioned a few times that I hate it. I'm not sure if she thinks I'm joking or just doesn't care, but it honestly really bugs me. That and taking pictures of us when we aren't expecting it so she can embarrass us later. It boils my blood honestly. I have a friend that whenever she starts dating a guy, just lists me off thing about the dude like she's listing a resume. Never anything about the personality or sense of humor or what characteristics about them she enjoys. It's job, career, college, earnings, house. I had to tell her it was getting creepy because it just sounds like she's getting a checklist to impress people, not find a good person for her. I was dropping my kid off at my ex's place and her new boyfriend was there. She introduced him by saying this is Dan, he works at wherever it was and makes $116,000 a year. The poor guy looked deeply uncomfortable. Tell me that my almost 2-year-old son is so handsome and going to break hearts / be a lady killer. If I rolled up to a park and told a mom how good looking her daughter was and that all the boys are going to want her, they'd call the cops. As a mother of 10-month-old boy, completely agree, and this is a response that actually is relevant to especially women being creepy. The way girls share really personal things about guys in relation to sex. Society and the media would have you believe that guys talk about sex all the time and just objectify the women that they've slept with. I don't know if maybe I'm just hanging out with the wrong people, but honestly the most you usually get out of a guy is just that they had sex with a girl. And the only time we discuss details are when you're just like trading stories. But girls tend to like immediately report on things to their friends, and share details that honestly could be embarrassing or uncomfortable for the guy. It makes me really uncomfortable and creeped out to think that if I sleep with the girls I have to just accept that all of her friends are going to know every detail about the experience. Size, performance, how long it lasted, how I look. It just feels like a huge breach of privacy. This has always messed with me. I can literally count on one hand the number of times men in my life have discussed a woman sexually or objectifyingly, and 3 of those times we were like 15, but it's just taken as granted that all men are constantly waiting for the women to leave the room so we can rate their boobies. I've had this happen a few times, but I don't know if it is more common or less common. When I go to a bar for a drink on say a Friday night, I usually go with friends. I'll head to the bathroom and sometimes the bar will be crowded, so I'll have to slip through a group of people. Several times I'll get rubbed or caressed by women. Sometimes on the groin, sometimes on the chest or shoulders. It's not wanted, nor am I signaling I want to be touched, just saying excuse me and going past. Went out with a group of guys last weekend. There were 6 of us and this random girl started hanging around us like a lost puppy and just wouldn't leave. She was attractive, but so obviously desperate for attention that none of our group of guys really cared to give her any. This girl was just looking at everyone, batting her eyes and trying to hug everyone, but the guys were just pawning her off on each other. Not sure if this is pathetic more than creepy, but if a guy did the same thing, he'd be labeled with creepy, so yeah. She was creepy to me.